You know that feeling when the world around you just stops making sense? Like logic has completely checked out and you're the only one who seems to have noticed? Well, if you've ever felt that way, you are in very, very good company. Today, we're going to dive into one of the most brilliant explorations of that feeling ever written, Lewis Carroll's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. So, our story kicks off with a problem we can all relate to: total, mind-numbing boredom. Alice is just sitting there looking at her sister's book, and it has no pictures, no dialogue, nothing. Her world is predictable, it's structured, and, let's be honest, it's incredibly dull. And then, out of nowhere, something completely impossible happens. A white rabbit, decked out in a waistcoat, pulls out a pocket watch and sprints past, muttering about being late. And that one single absurd image is all it takes. Alice is, as the book says, burning with curiosity. She doesn't hesitate for a second. She just follows him right down the rabbit hole, trading her boring, predictable world for absolute chaos. But here's the thing. This is so much more than just some whimsical kid's fantasy. It really gets at what happens when you decide to let go of certainty, when you follow your curiosity into the great unknown. It's really a journey of self-discovery in a world that seems perfectly designed to make you question every single thing you think you know. So, what did Alice actually find down there? See, Wonderland isn't just a random collection of weird stuff. It's actually a brilliant satire that holds up a mirror to our own world. Let's break down the core ideas that really give this story its punch. First up is the sheer absurdity of what we call adult logic. I mean, have you ever been in a situation where the rules make absolutely zero sense, but everybody just goes along with them like they're the most normal thing in the world? Well, that's Wonderland in a nutshell. The best example has got to be the Mad Tea Party. It's always 6 o'clock because the Hatter supposedly murdered the time. They ask Alice a riddle: why is a raven like a writing desk? And then admit they have no idea what the answer is. It's a perfect reflection of all those times in our own lives where we follow rules that lost their meaning ages ago. And what about identity? Who are you really? That's the second big theme, the idea that who we are isn't fixed. When the caterpillar just bluntly asks her, "Who are you?" Alice gives this incredibly honest answer. She can't define herself because Wonderland keeps changing her, physically and mentally. It's just a perfect metaphor for those times in our own lives, right? Like when you're a teenager or you're changing careers and your whole sense of self just feels totally scrambled. Another huge idea is how the book looks at power. In Wonderland, authority has nothing to do with being wise or fair. Nope. It's completely arbitrary, and it's all enforced with brute force and threats. And the Queen of Hearts? She is the poster child for this. Her one and only solution for every single problem, no matter how small, is off with his head. It's such a brilliant takedown of any kind of authority that rules through pure fear and rage instead of actual reason. And how often does communication just completely fail? In Wonderland, words just don't work the way they're supposed to. Language is a central theme. Alice is constantly trying to be logical, but the words themselves are slippery, they're treacherous. When the mouse says he'll tell his long and a sad tale, Alice can only picture a literal tail on a mouse. And this misunderstanding offends the mouse so much, he just storms off. It's a great reminder of how our most basic tool for connection can suddenly become a source of total confusion. And the one thing holding all of this together, the real engine of the story, is one powerful force: curiosity. Alice is not a passive hero. She's not just swept away by events. She makes a choice. She chooses to follow that rabbit. Her relentless need to understand, to question, and to explore is what drives every single moment of her adventure. Now, Alice's journey isn't just a string of weird encounters, it's actually a really powerful character arc. So let's look at the key scenes, the turning points that show her transforming from this confused little girl into someone who can finally stand up for herself. So pretty early on, after she grows to be 9 feet tall, Alice starts to cry. And she cries so much that when she suddenly shrinks again, she finds herself swimming in a pool made entirely of her own tears. This is such a powerful moment. It's the first time her emotional state has a direct physical impact on her world. She is literally physically drowning in her own sadness and frustration. The conversation she has with the caterpillar is a real game changer. After this bizarre chat about her identity, the caterpillar gives her this crucial piece of information. One side of the mushroom he's on will make her taller, and the other side will make her shorter.
For the very first time, Alice isn't just a victim of whatever's happening to her. She finally has a tool to control her own situation. This is her first real taste of power in Wonderland.
And then we get to the Mad Tea Party. This scene is just a masterclass in broken logic, arguments that go in circles, and just plain rudeness. And it all revolves around this famous, unanswerable riddle. Alice, bless her heart, tries to play along. She tries to find the logic, to make it all make sense.
But she can't. There's no sense to be found. And this leads to maybe her most important decision so far. After being insulted one too many times, she just gets up in great disgust and walks away. She realizes that you can't win a game that has no rules. She learns that sometimes, in a completely illogical system, the most powerful thing you can do is just refuse to play.
And all of this builds to her final, triumphant moment of transformation. At that crazy croquet game, when the Queen of Hearts screams her favorite line, "Off with her head," Alice doesn't cower. She doesn't run. She just looks right at her and shouts, "Nonsense." In that moment, she finally sees the Queen for what she really is. Not some terrifying ruler, but just a playing card throwing a ridiculous tantrum. The Queen's authority is a complete illusion, and once Alice sees that, it has zero power over her. Okay, so it's a classic. But why are we still talking about a book that was written over 150 years ago? Well, it's because Wonderland has this incredible way of staying relevant no matter how old you are. The real magic of this book is that it grows with you. When you're a kid, it's this amazing, whimsical adventure. But when you read it as an adult, you see the brilliant satire just underneath. I mean, its influence is everywhere. We all talk about going down the rabbit hole or a Cheshire cat grin. But more than anything, it validates that feeling we all get sometimes, that the world is governed by completely mad, nonsensical rules. It doesn't give you any easy answers. Instead, it teaches you how to keep thinking when the old answers just don't work anymore. Now, what's really amazing is that, believe it or not, this completely bonkers story is packed with practical mental models that we can actually use today. So let's break down a few useful frameworks you can take right out of Wonderland. First up, let's talk about the Cheshire Cat's law of purpose. When Alice asks which way to go, the cat basically says it depends on where you want to end up. And since she doesn't know, he says any road will get her there. Now, that might sound cynical, but it's actually incredibly liberating. When you feel stuck, when you don't know the perfect path forward, the most important thing you can do is just start walking. Any action, any step creates its own momentum and clarity. Next, we can take the caterpillar's interrogation and turn it into a really simple tool for self-reflection. Let's call it the identity audit. It's a simple 3-step process. Step 1. Acknowledge that you've changed, just like Alice admits she's been changed several times since morning. Step 2. Test your old beliefs. Notice which of your old assumptions just don't feel true anymore. And finally, Step 3. Define your need. What do you need right now to feel balanced again? For Alice, it was just getting back to her normal size. It's a powerful way to find your footing when things feel shaky. And finally, this is a big one, the Mad Tea Party rule. It's such a powerful decision-making tool for modern life. Are you in a meeting, an argument, or maybe a project that just operates on pure nonsense? You know, the kind that just goes in circles with zero chance of a productive outcome? Follow Alice's lead. Disengage. Sometimes walking away is the most strategic and the most sane choice you can possibly make. All right, let's bring this all home. The lessons from Wonderland are surprisingly, and I mean surprisingly, relevant to our world today. Let's look at how these century-old ideas connect directly to our lives right now. Think about leadership. The Queen of Hearts is a timeless lesson that managing through fear and threats doesn't earn you respect. It just creates a culture of terror. In terms of self-awareness, Alice's constant shrinking and growing is a perfect metaphor for imposter syndrome, that feeling of being way too small for a role one minute and then awkwardly, painfully too large the next. And for creativity, the entire book is a celebration of asking foolish questions. Real innovation always starts by challenging the obvious rules of the game that everyone else just takes for granted. So if there's one single thing to take away from Alice's entire journey down the rabbit hole, I think it's this. When the world stops making sense, when the rules no longer apply and the path forward is anything but clear, your curiosity is the only compass you really need. Follow it. You'll always find your way.